Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a financial story that literally carved a new path across the globe, reshaping empires and fortunes forever. Imagine a world where sailing from London to India meant a perilous, months-long journey around the entire continent of Africa. Then, a visionary Frenchman dared to dream of a shortcut, a man-made waterway through the desert sands, connecting the Mediterranean and Red Seas. This was the genesis of the Suez Canal. Far more than just an engineering feat, it was a financial battlefield. The year was 1854. Ferdinand de Lesseps, the former French diplomat, secured a concession from Said Pasha, the Khedive of Egypt, to construct this monumental canal. His vision was bold, but the practicalities were daunting. The project would require immense capital, far beyond what any single nation or private investor could easily provide. Lesseps embarked on an ambitious fundraising campaign, primarily targeting European investors, promising a future of unparalleled trade and prosperity. He envisioned a truly international waterway, open to all nations. But not everyone shared Lesseps' enthusiasm. The British Empire, then the dominant global maritime power, viewed the project with deep suspicion. They controlled the existing sealands and feared that a French-controlled Suez Canal would undermine their strategic advantage and influence in the East. Lord Palmerston, the British Prime Minister, famously dismissed the canal as a bubble and actively worked to dissuade investors, fearing a shift in the delicate balance of imperial power. This wasn't just about engineering, it was about global dominance. Despite British opposition, Lesseps pressed forward, finding significant support from French small investors and a crucial 44% of the shares purchased by the Egyptian government itself. These Egyptian shares represented a massive financial commitment for the Khedive, who hoped the canal would bring modernization and immense wealth to his nation. Construction began in 1859, transforming vast stretches of desert with hundreds of thousands of laborers, many working under harsh conditions. It was a monumental undertaking, both in sweat and in capital. The construction was brutal, fraught with technological challenges, disease, and immense human cost. Early on, forced labor, known as the corvée, was widely used, drawing international condemnation. Eventually, steam-powered dredgers and excavators replaced much of the manual labor, speeding up progress but driving costs even higher. The initial budget estimates were quickly surpassed, transforming what was already a costly venture into an economic abyss. Each shovelful of sand, each bolting plate, represented a drain on Egyptian coffers. By the time the Suez Canal officially opened in 1869, after 10 grueling years of construction, it was a triumph of engineering. The opening ceremony was a spectacle of global leaders, dignitaries, and lavish celebrations. However, behind the grand parades and fireworks, a darker financial reality was taking hold for Egypt. Khedive Ismail Pasha, who had succeeded Said Pasha, had borrowed heavily to finance both the canal shares and his ambitious modernization projects for Egypt, pushing his nation deep into debt. Khedive Ismail's vision for Egypt was grand. He wanted to transform his country into a European-style state, with modern infrastructure, education, and industry. But his rapid spending, fueled by easy access to European loans, far outstripped Egypt's ability to generate revenue. The nation's debt ballooned, creating a precarious financial situation. The Suez Canal, meant to be a symbol of progress and prosperity, was instead becoming a heavy anchor, dragging Egypt into financial dependency. The interest payments alone became staggering. By 1875, Egypt was on the brink of bankruptcy. The Khedive's government desperately needed funds to service its enormous foreign debt. His most valuable asset, the Egyptian government's 44% stake in the Universal Suez Ship Canal Company, became his only viable option for a quick cash injection. This was the moment that the financial fate of the canal, and arguably Egypt itself, hung in the balance. Global financiers watched closely, sensing a monumental opportunity. This was the tipping point. News of Khedive Ismail's desperate need to sell his Suez Canal shares reached European capitals, sparking immediate interest. For the British Prime Minister, Benjamin Disraeli, this was an unmissable, historic opportunity. Despite years of official British skepticism, Disraeli recognized the immense strategic value of the canal for the British Empire, particularly its lifeline to India, the jewel in the crown.
He moved with extraordinary speed and secrecy, determined to prevent France from consolidating its control. Disraeli needed £4 million, a colossal sum at the time, and he needed it immediately. Parliament was not in session, and the usual bureaucratic channels would be too slow. So he turned to the Rothschild banking family, a legendary financial powerhouse. He famously sent a messenger to Lionel de Rothschild's home, where Rothschild, in a dramatic, almost theatrical gesture, agreed to personally front the entire amount, based solely on Disraeli's word. It was a deal struck on trust and immense financial power.
The telegraph lines buzzed with clandestine messages between London and Cairo. The deal was concluded swiftly and secretly. On November 25, 1875, Britain acquired the Khedive's 44% stake in the Suez Canal Company for just under £4 million. This single transaction, executed with such speed and discretion, shifted the balance of power overnight. It was an investment that would yield not just financial returns, but immeasurable strategic dividends for generations to come. The news sent shockwaves across Europe. France, which had initially dominated the canal's ownership and management, was stunned. They had been outmaneuvered by Disraeli's audacious financial diplomacy. The British public largely cheered, recognizing the immense strategic coup. However, Egypt was left with its crushing debt, and now without its controlling stake in the very canal that ran through its territory. The canal remained on Egyptian soil, but its fate was now firmly intertwined with British imperial ambitions. Britain's acquisition of the Suez Canal shares immediately transformed its strategic position. It now held significant influence over the vital waterway, solidifying its fastest route to India and its vast colonial holdings in Asia. This was more than a financial transaction. It was a geopolitical masterstroke that secured Britain's imperial communications and trade lines, giving them unparalleled control over global shipping. The canal became the backbone of the British Empire's logistical network. For Egypt, the consequences were dire. Despite the canal being on their land, they no longer controlled its economic destiny. Their crippling debt, exacerbated by the sale, led to increased European intervention in their finances. Within a few years, British financial commissioners were effectively running parts of the Egyptian economy to ensure debt repayment. This financial subjugation paved the way for direct British military occupation of Egypt in 1882, ostensibly to protect British interests and maintain stability. The story of the Suez Canal's financing is a powerful lesson in the intersection of economics, politics, and power. It demonstrates how a single, well-timed financial maneuver can redraw geopolitical maps and alter the trajectory of nations. The canal itself was an incredible human achievement, but its ownership saga highlights the complex and often ruthless nature of international finance and imperial expansion in the 19th century. It wasn't just about building, it was about owning the pathway to prosperity.
The canal remained a cornerstone of global trade and a flashpoint for international relations for decades. Its strategic importance only grew with time, playing a crucial role in both world wars. Britain maintained significant control over the canal until the mid-20th century, despite Egypt's nominal independence. The ghost of Khedive Ismail's debt continued to haunt Egyptian aspirations for true sovereignty. The financial decision of 1875 echoed through history. The eventual nationalization of the Suez Canal by Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser in 1956 triggered the Suez Crisis, a major international confrontation that ultimately led to the withdrawal of British and French forces. This event marked a symbolic end to the era of European imperial control over the canal and signaled a new chapter for Egypt and the Middle East. It was Egypt finally reclaiming its economic and territorial birthright, long deferred by debt and diplomacy. Even today, the Suez Canal remains one of the world's most critical waterways, handling a significant portion of global maritime trade. Its history, from its ambitious financing to its contentious ownership transfers, offers invaluable insights into the power dynamics of international commerce and finance. It underscores how the control of vital infrastructure can be a more potent weapon than any army. A simple ditch in the desert, yet it held the keys to empire. The tale of the Suez Canal is not just about digging a ditch, it's about the deep trenches dug in national economies by colossal debt, about the cunning of imperial powers, and about the long shadow cast by financial decisions. It's a reminder that truly independent nations must not only secure their borders, but also control their economic levers. The price of progress can be steep, and sometimes the debt outweighs the dream. Consider the audacity of a private company building a channel that would alter global geography. Then consider the precarious position of a nation, Egypt, caught between its aspirations for modernity and the crushing weight of foreign capital. This story truly encapsulates the high stakes involved when national development meets international finance, especially when one party holds significantly more leverage. Every loan has a cost, often hidden deeper than the interest rate. The speed and secrecy of Disraeli's acquisition also highlight how pivotal moments in history can be decided by small circles of powerful individuals acting decisively outside conventional channels. His daring move was a gamble, but one that paid off handsomely, securing Britain's interests for generations. It showed that sometimes the greatest battles are not fought on the battlefield, but in the banking houses and telegraph offices. The true power often lay in financial control. Ultimately, the Suez Canal saga teaches us that economic power is rarely benign. It often comes with strings attached, and those strings can easily become chains. For Egypt, the dream of a modernized nation was partially realized, but at the cost of its sovereignty for decades. The canal became a potent symbol of global financial leverage and the enduring legacy of colonial economic exploitation. It's a stark reminder of history's unforgiving lessons. Think about it. A relatively small strip of land, transformed by human endeavor, became the focus of intense international financial and political struggle. The Suez Canal story isn't just about a waterway, it's about the currents of money, power, and ambition that flow beneath the surface of global events, perpetually shaping the world we inhabit. It's a testament to how even the grandest visions can be reduced to a commodity in the hands of shrewd financiers. Money truly moves mountains, and sometimes seas. The legacy of the Suez Canal's financing continues to resonate, offering lessons for developing nations navigating global capital markets today. The importance of fiscal prudence, strategic foresight, and maintaining control over critical national assets remains paramount. It's a vivid illustration that economic sovereignty is a hard-won prize, constantly vulnerable to the shifting tides of international finance and geopolitical ambition. The canal, a gateway for ships, was also a gateway to a new kind of economic imperialism. And so, the story of the Suez Canal, an engineering marvel, unravels into a gripping tale of financial intrigue, imperial ambition, and national struggle. It stands as a powerful reminder that while innovation can connect the world, the control over those connections often dictates who truly benefits. Next time you see a ship sailing through that famous waterway, remember the immense financial and political battles that determined its fate. Until next time, keep exploring the hidden forces that shape our world.